believe we are live. Let's hope so. Let me double check. Just in case. We are. All right, this is take 2. There were some technical issues the other day. I'm not sure why, but it looks like it's up and running and A-OK. So we're getting ready to do the Uranus transiting into Gemini forecast. Let me just bring that up. And there's Mango in the back. I have another one right behind me. My Penny. It's slow today. Monsoons are coming, so bear with me. So we have a major event happening next week. Happy month of July. This is the 1st, so major celestial event happening next week. And we have Uranus entering Gemini. Now, Uranus is the planet that rules the future that mankind has not realized yet, due to many humans possessing an ingenious spirit. Ingenious meaning someone who's an inventor, a creator, invents stuff, things like that. Just, you can go look it up. Uranus is inquisitive. It's extremely intellectual. It rules the genius qualities of man and inventions, innovations, things like that. Now, this planet spends about 7 years in each sign, but we may not see these changes right away, more like the halfway mark of this period. However, it's much faster process. It's a much faster process when it's in Gemini. Uranus didn't feel comfortable in Taurus at all. Uranus is also the planet of the sudden release of energy, and it rules explosions, nuclear energy, uranium, aeronautics, space, UFO phenomena, shocking news, the strange and the bizarre. It's revolutionary times. It's innovation, science, discovery, new age, astrology, and sudden changes. It brings some of the most devastating forces within nature, such as tornadoes, earthquakes, typhoons, hurricanes. The country of Japan is ruled by Uranus, and as it has the most seismic activity with earthquakes and volcanoes per square mile than any other country, Japan, very seismically active planet, that is for sure. Or country, not planet. Now, Uranus has been in Taurus since about May 15th, 2018, and technically shifts permanently in 2026 into Gemini. But it has this brief bounce back in Taurus starting November 7th of 2025 until April 26th of 2026. Its transit through Taurus, a sign that's associated with it rules. What does Taurus rule? The second house. It's money, it's wealth, stability, material possessions, finances, agricultural values, and of course, Mother Earth energy. It tends to bring about disruptive, shocking, explosive, and transformative shifts in all those areas I just mentioned up above. Now, like I said, Uranus really doesn't enjoy being in slow-moving, traditional, and cautious Taurus. There have been many occasions where there have been a fear of change, progressing forward, and issues with currency matters too. We've seen it. You know, I don't know how to put it. When we don't understand something, what do as humans? We fear it and we ridicule it. That's just kind of how I see it. See again. I could see again. Let's see, where was I? Now, this planet can bring about financial chaos. We've already seen that. We've seen upheavals in the value of money. Let's use cryptocurrency or digital assets as the example, because this coincides with the rise, usage, and mainstreaming of cryptocurrency and other digital assets, like Donald Trump creating a crypto czar. He even created his own coin. And then prior to that, there were a couple of banks last year or the year before that failed. One was in Silicon Valley. I don't remember the name of it, but there were two banks that kind of fell, one especially in California. I don't remember the name of that bank, but those are some examples. Now, this created challenging issues through the last couple of years with traditional finance systems and their value. So monetary change, absolutely. And I told you it would happen towards the latter part of Uranus in Taurus. Now, this has also brought about economic instability, inflation, financial crisis, stock market crashes, rapid changes to interest rates, bank collapses, which I just mentioned, or disruptions within the banking industry. Now, this transit has brought many discussions around the central bank and digital currencies too. There has been fighting, there's been wars and violence over land and natural resources. Ukraine, Palestine, those all come to mind here. The universe is telling us that we as human beings are going to have to reevaluate what wealth really means. And we're going to have to redirect our focus from like material possessions to kind of be more thankful for what we have. Be thankful for what we have, and treasures and riches come. Be ungrateful for what you have, and they don't come as quickly. Now, Uranus in Taurus has brought issues with food production, the whole egg problems, problems with the bird flu, things like that. It's about distribution, food supply, agriculture, GMOs, sustainable farming, environmental concerns, climate change, ecological damages, and on a more progressive way to tend to our Mother Earth. So we people behind the scenes have tried to be more progressive, but going back to things like coal, which the president wants to do, is not the answer. Solar and wind turbine is obsolete too. But here's where the problem is. There is a way to get free electricity. Go watch that movie, The Lost Century, by Dr. Greer. There is a way to get free electricity. Nikola Tesla was onto it. JP Morgan didn't like the fact you couldn't put a meter on it. So now we have energy that is destroying the planet. You know, wind turbines aren't good for the birds. And I just saw a wind turbine crash across a freeway somewhere in the south. A big old piece of it broke off. Solar paneling is very expensive, and if we already have an electrical grid problem, you think electric cars are the answer? No. There's a technology out there, but it's being kept from all of us. That would pretty much solve the climate crisis. It would solve the energy crisis, but that's a show for another time. Viewpoints become more futuristic, and the shift to dismantle the old system structures, values, and beliefs are being torn down, as it really is no longer serving the collective or the greater good. Throughout history, Taurus in Uranus has taken on many historical attributes. You know, from 1850 to 1859, this period in history really saw the rise of the California gold rush, leading to destructive hydraulic mining. And there were many indigenous tribes rebelling against the colonial powers at this time. And this brought about the American Civil War being fought, a conflict rooted in economic and property rights like slavery. because, it's a good idea to want to, own a human being. I'm being very sarcastic. From 1934 to 1942 coincided with the Great Depression and the beginning of World War II, bringing about dramatic economic upheaval, government experimentation, for example, like the Banking Act of 1935 and the Social Security Act was created. And a revolution in agricultural practices began as well. This is leading to the whole Dust Bowl thing. It also saw women entering the workforce in large numbers too. Now, a lot of this was due to the men were off at war, so a lot of those jobs had to be filled by women at that time. Now, in essence, Uranus in Taurus has consistently brought about periods of disruption to the established norms and to structures related to money, resources, and fundamental values, often forcing a reevaluation of what is truly stable and valuable in life. It's been a time of shaking the ground beneath our feet to build a more new, more authentic foundations for the world at large. Why is my phone busy today? Now, Uranus moves into Gemini on July 7th, 2025, and this is a whole new ballgame. This transit is poised to bring about profound and revolutionary changes, particularly in the areas associated with Gemini. What does Gemini rule? Communication, writing, publishing, information, technology, broadcasting, education, short distance travel. It's transportation and the mind or mental clarity or mental process. Historically, let's take a look at what Uranus and Gemini has brought through the centuries. The US was invented under a Uranus and Gemini transit from 1775 to 1783. The Revolutionary War began, and the birth of a nation was marked by radical colonial rule with the establishment of a new, more independent government. These revolutions brought about, new ideas and communication from speeches and people making pamphlets and speaking declarations, and a new government was based on new principles. All right, the Civil War from 1861 to 1865 brought about major internal strife, reshaped a nation, created division and conflicts driven by a deeply divided nation. God, that sounds kind of familiar. Does history repeat itself? Most certainly does. This was also when the first transatlantic telegraph cable was invented, revolutionizing transcontinental communication. I'm sorry, I'm turning this on airplane mode because I can't freaking take it anymore. Okay. So yes, around this time is when the first telegraph cable was created and we were able to communicate across transcontinental divides. So there's that. The last time Uranus was in Gemini was from August 1941 to September 1948, and World War II had begun from 1939 to 1945. Now, this era saw the U.S. emerging as a global superpower with significant technological advancements and shifts in international relations. The era saw the rise of mass media, radio and television becoming more widespread, modern computing and advanced ways of TV and broadcasting. So back in the day, the rich had TVs and the poor had nice radios. I was asking my mom, and she was telling me they didn't get a TV till the late 40s, early 50s. So that was something that was made for the rich at the time. But there were major advancements at that time. I'm hoping my broadcast is doing okay because it is really blowing out there. This was also a period that encompassed the early Cold War too. So now this era also brought about warfare advancements and intense ideological and communication battles. So there was that as well. Now, if you were born during this time, you're from the generation of people interested in new ways of thinking. You were young adults during the 60s, a time of a great social upheaval, free love, anti-war protests, civil rights were a big part of your lived experience. So that this next transit may feel like a redo. You are the boomer generation. Uranus is in Gemini, and your Pluto, chances are in Leo. That's the boomer generation. Now, souls born with a Gemini and Uranus will be entering their Uranus return, a cosmic event which only happens once in a lifetime. So the United States itself is on their own Uranus return, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Okay, so for example, my mother had her Uranus return in 2018 because her Uranus is in Taurus and her Pluto's in Cancer. So she's the generation before the boomers, and she's outlived a lot of the boomers. A lot of the boomers are dying, unfortunately. Not all of you, but some of you. Souls born with a Gemini, like I said, in Uranus, are entering their Uranus return. This is a cosmic event. Okay, it only happens every 84 to 85 years, and it marks a period where you feel free to be yourself, and you will not conform to what society expects of you. You don't care if you fit in, because now is the time to let your authentic self shine through. And that is very true. The older you get, the less you give a shit. That's what my mother said. I don't give a shit. Her words, not mine. This placement will affect most souls in their 80s. So our president's on his Uranus return. And I'm going to say this, you're not going to like it. Some of you are going to be offended. He will not finish his term. There's going to become some cognitive issues. He's Gemini and Uranus. Uranus will be sitting right on his first house of self and soul's purpose. I don't even want to get into the next dragon and where that's going to hit. It's going to not make him as mentally sound. Not that he's mentally sound now. I guess all that making fun of Biden is going to bite him in the ass with karma. I love karma. Now, this placement will affect, most souls that are in their 80s now, as they contemplate whether they are independent enough to live alone and on their own, or do they need like assisted living care. Use this time for all my boomer generation to assess your health needs, cognitive abilities, and what makes the most sense to you and works for you. That's the motto here. Now, the USA will be on their own Uranus return, and once it moves into Gemini, what does this all mean? Well, first of all, there are 85 different ways to run an astrology chart, and you will find modern astrologers state that this will fall in the United States' 6th house of health and service to the world. And then you will have the ancient astrologers like myself who are saying, who will tell you this planet falls in the United States' 12th house of hidden enemies, which we have many of them, deep subconscious mind, deeper spirituality. This means the U.S. could experience changes in work life, jobs, and hygiene, and how we care for our bodies. Technology is going to play a very, very big part in this. Revolutions will shift the dynamics with the workforce, workplace, labor unions, and new industries can emerge. The 9 to 5 schedule that's all been kind of inbred into us You know, the whole monetary system has inbred this into us. It's done by design. The 9-to-5 work schedule will become a thing of the past, as people are going to seek out a stronger desire for freedom from the confines of an office. So power will be placed more in the hands of the people and less in the hands, I guess, of the corporations. You might not see that now, but we'll talk again if I'm still alive in 7 years. Okay? Moving on. Sorry, I had to have a Mexican Coke. I try and only have one once a week, and I couldn't wait till the weekend. Tuesday's the day. In conclusion, and Uranus return, a Uranus return for the USA will bring a period of intense, unpredictable, challenging times and changes. The nation will have to readapt and redefine itself. It's a time when, well, once again, I think I said this earlier, but it bears repeating. It's a time when old systems may crumble to make way for new structures, and the collective consciousness could be significantly altered. There are a lot of people waking up, and not all of us. I am having things happening to me with astral projection, and I feel like I'm time traveling. You know, when I shut my eyes, I'm like going through space and time. Those experiences for me are getting more and more intense. And I don't know if it's me on a paradigm shift for my own self, but there's just certain things and certain people that I don't resonate with much. And they're even in my own witch community. I mean, I just see, you know, just because someone is a practitioner or a witch doesn't mean they vibrate on a high level of consciousness. A lot of the people on my TikTok, some of you all vibrate on a very low level of consciousness. And then you sit and make fun of the star seeds when they elevate up here more. Not all of them, but some. I'm not going to get into too much, but I see things in a very different perspective. And some of you are going to adapt very well to this, myself included. Some of you aren't. And it'll be the air signs, especially Gemini, that feel this energy the strongest. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Now, I do foresee the U.S. having a deeper understanding of high technologies, and since it's moving through the 12th house in the Nostradamus method, many Americans subconscious will be working overtime. Many will be broadening their horizons with deeper spirituality, new age perspectives, and deep insight into the future. Now, unfortunately, Uranus in Gemini can be all about war. Okay. Last time this planet was stationed here, we had World War II. The last 3 times Uranus was in Gemini coincided with war, including the Civil War, World War II, and the Revolutionary War when this country was first birthed. Does this mean we might experience something like that again? Well, have you seen the news? Yes. Yes, I do. And I do think World War III or some sort of a war, Revolutionary War. I mean, shit, we could have all 3. How's that? Revolutionary War, World War, and a Civil War all at once. A triple trifecta. No, I mean, that is a possibility. Remember, Gemini is a dual sign. It rules duality. So things happen for people with a lot of Gemini in them in 2s, 4s, and 6s. So we could have 2 wars going on, a civil one and a revolutionary one, or a World War One. That is a possibility. I hope to God I am freaking wrong. Okay. Now we are experiencing everything from disinformation campaigns via social media or technological warfare, such as cyber attacks. I just had one earlier. Someone tried to get into my hard wallet for my crypto. So be aware of that. My next newsletter for my Patreons and the financial Wheel of Fortune one. We're going to talk all about that. So in the next day or two, something will be up for you guys. But many will broaden their horizons, like I said, with a different perspective on things. But like I said, the last 3 times this planet was stationed here, we had some wars going on. Remember, Uranus is the rebel planet, so the collective might be ready for revolution. And I'm worried that with this bill passing, I'm worried. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say what exactly I'm worried about, but there is a strong possibility things could escalate within our own government. Not in a good way either. Because like I said, this is the rebel planet. And so the collective might be ready for a revolution, which would come through unions, class consciousness, and cultural change. The status quo might fall out of favor and get the heave-ho or the boot. Considering that Pluto, the planet of transformation, is in Aquarius, a new inclusive world may be made possible. This will not come without conflict, as we must all be ready. Sorry, someone's driving nuts out there. We must all be ready to push back and fight for our ideas and humanity. And I say this on a side note because there's a lot of you that are on the wrong side of history, and there are a lot of you that are spiting yourself with your beliefs and your indoctrinations and your bigotry and your hatred. Trust me, in 7 years, they will remember you. They will remember you. Your Lord and Savior may be gone, but they will remember you in that red hat. Now, here is what I expect Uranus to bring the world for the next 7 years, and I'm going to go over these briefly because I'm going to do a whole new recording of this next week for the public. This is not going to be included in it, along with the other part I have here. So there's going to be, number one, new ways of communicating with a radical shift. Gemini is all about information, so it'll speed up the flow of information. In fact, I'm going to let you guys read all of these on your own, okay? Because I want to get to something else here. And so I didn't type this up in the newsletter, but I wanted to give you all in my Patreon just a brief analysis of where this planet is going to be stationed on you for the next 7 years. And I'm not doing it by signs. I'm doing it by birth month. Because if you're a Cancer born in June, it's going to be right on you. Okay. So if you are a soul born in the month of April, you're going to receive Uranus and Gemini in your 3rd house as the house of transportation, communication, friends, groups, siblings, mental clarity. So the 3rd house will be affected, both positive and negative. Remember, Uranus, planet of sudden release of energy and shocking news. When the moon is waxing, you'll receive positive. When it's waning, not so positive. Do watch the road, because this can create chain reaction accidents. So just watch the road. But your 3rd house with Uranus there can create all kinds of writing and publishing abilities. You can almost be like the mental genius in a way. So just be prepared for that, my April-born souls. May-born souls, this planet's going to hit your 2nd house of wealth, money, possessions, and finances. So do keep aware of your bank accounts, because there will be an influx up and down of money. You'll have money, you won't have money. And like I said, if you can nip this in the bud now, constantly keep an eye on your finances, because you don't ever want to go in there and have a shocking surprise happen to you. But this is where windfalls come. This is where windfalls go. So just be aware of that energy, because Uranus is both positive and negative. Well, my June born souls, you're going to have it right on your first house of self, soul's purpose. Like I said, this will affect mostly, it affects everybody, but the air signs especially. So June born, uh, October born, and February born will feel it the strongest. So with this being right on June born's first house, this is the self, the soul's purpose, radical shifts in your viewpoints, your thinking, even your appearance. A lot of changes coming. I do worry about it when it's on the first house, though, because it can have issues with the mental process. So just be aware of that. July, my July born souls, this will hit your 12th house of your subconscious, hidden enemies, deeper spirituality, things like that. So July born souls, you will get a boost in spirituality, perspectives change, things within the deep subconscious could change. You might take up a deeper study of something. There's always that possibility. August born souls will receive this Uranus planet in their 11th house of friends and wishes. So August could see wishes come true. August born souls could also see friends, sudden upheavals with friends, or sudden things changing with friends, new friends, old friends come in, old friends go out, vice versa. Okay. September born souls receive this in their 10th house as the house of career, public standing, goals, achievements. So you guys should be experiencing some September born souls will be retiring. Some will have a complete influx and change in their career, or how the world sees them, or how they're perceived. So lots of changes here for September born souls. October born souls, you will receive this in your 9th house. This is the house of higher learning, higher knowledge. It rules the indigenous world, animals, courts, laws, justice, religion, travel. A lot of Libras could be getting that travel bug and want to see other cultures and explore other worlds. Absolutely. This is also where you might have a shift in your studies, or even your morals and ethics and your beliefs. So lots of changes for October born souls, but hang in there. November born souls, you're going to receive this in your 8th house. And this is, this is technically Scorpio house. This is dignified. And the 8th house is the house of life, death, rebirth, and transformation. So a lot of my November born souls are going to see a lot of transformation. Unfortunately, you might hear of some deaths, some of them in a shocking way. I'm just preparing you for that. I got to give you the good, the bad. But a lot of November born souls will also see an increase with wealth and investments and joint finances. There could be money coming to you, things like that. So just know there's 7 years of this, and it takes a long time. Normally, I don't cover the outer planets, but Uranus is one that you always feel, because we have Uranic phases. We have to discuss it. My December born souls will receive this in the 7th house of marriage, partnerships and contracts, sharing. So there could be a shocking event that takes place with a business partner. Maybe there's a sudden change in marriage. Could be a divorce. Could be getting married. Either, like I said, positive and negative. January born souls will receive this in their 6th house as the house of employment and health and service to the world. And take care of yourself, Capricorn, because this could be an influx in health up and down. Okay. This is also where there could be drastic changes to employment and things like that. Just be prepared. Think positive. Okay. Don't sit and go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Just go with the flow. Roll with it. Okay. February born souls, this is going to hit your 5th house. So this things could happen, with children, lovers, creativity, joy, pleasure. This is the fifth house of love. So there could be some shocking events that take place or things that happen with your children or lovers, things like that. Spur of the moment marriage, shotgun wedding, things like that can happen, just a possibility. Last but not least, my March born souls, this is going to take place in your fourth house of home, security, real estate, family, mother figure energy, things like that. And so with it being in the fourth, many of my March born souls could see a fluctuation in their security. They might be moving or buying a house, selling a house. Lots of transition and changes in that fourth house, and guarantee you 7 years from now it'll be very different. So these first 5 months of this planet stationed in this sign are a precursor to what you're going to feel when it shifts permanently in, I believe, April of 2026. So there's that. But take what resonates with this, and you do, like, for example, say you're a June born Cancer, you're going to take on, you cusp babies will take on dual energy here. What I mean by that is, if, say you're born in January, at the end, you're an Aquarius. Well, this is going to affect your fifth, but you also want to keep an eye on your sixth too. Natally, it's stationed, not natally, but it is stationed in your sixth. But you're going to feel the energy as well in your fifth. So you want to take that into consideration as well. To sum things up, Uranus in Gemini will usher in a dramatic and potentially chaotic period of intellectual and technological revolutions. We can expect our world to be reshaped by advancements in communication, information, and the very way we think and learn. It will be a time where agility, adaptability, and the ability to process and disseminate information effectively, it's going to be paramount. So try to go into things with a more progressive eye. Uranus is progressive. Saturn is conservative. Uranus is progressive. Taurus, which was ruled by Venus, well, that takes on a more conservative tone. This is not. This is radical changes. So if you are, this is going to be a conservative's nightmare, but it's also, buckle up, buttercup, because if you are weak-minded, you're not going to be able to handle this shift that's getting ready to happen. So, that is that. I'm wishing all of you a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. It's only Tuesday. And this is your in Gemini forecast. Ciao.